Okay, but looking at the decks, like ignoring the typo here. So Reynad bans Savjz's Rogue. Savjz is also known from Miracle Rogue plays. Like he was running Miracle Rogue like as one of the first players in the ancient times of ESGN. Then he was running this deck again on ladder, so he's a pretty strong Miracle Rogue player. That's why Reynad's probably banning this deck. On the other hand, Savjz banning Hunter, so he realizes how strong Hunter is, and up front, he's just banning it out of the series.
I think so. I think it's good. You know, Hunter is just such a good opener as well as finisher. I think Savjz really respects it, and for good reason, because Hunter seems to have completely risen to prominence once again. All right, so the series has begun, and Reynad will start off with things like an Argent Squire, which is nice to kind of get an early lead. Shaman can shut that down early, though. It really depends on how this token druid really develops. Shaman traditionally is good against druid because you have a lot of options and removal spells to play effectively. But at the same time, token druid does kind of make the matchups a little different based off how they open.
It's kind of like an even game, I guess. Like recently, I played this match and I actually lost being a shaman here, but. Normally, playing versus token as a shaman, you feel kind of good because you have Lightning Storms, you have Feral Spirits, you have a lot of ways to control the board and kill those small minions. But on the other hand, Druid is a really formidable opponent, and if they get a combo, if they kind of get a combo like turn 7, you're just dead, even though you feel you're safe. So it might be a very interesting matchup. I feel like both players, well, Druid definitely has a very strong hand. With Shaman, it looks okay-ish, I guess, with Feral Spirit and Hex.
Yeah, I mean, the Feral Spirits is a good way to start to kind of stem the damage, but just like you mentioned, I think the matchup's evened out a lot more. Even though Shaman has good efficient removal, they don't heal. So as much as you're able to effectively clear, if you don't really have the way to stop the damage or the combo, then sometimes you just die because you don't have anything else left. And a lot of other classes have ways to heal up, whether it's Warrior with armoring up or even using cards like Earthen Ring, Farseer, etc. Shaman kind of struggles in this department.
Basically, this is the match. They will be fighting for board presence. It's Shaman always needs a board presence. Druid with the combo also needs a board presence. So they will be trading as much as possible. Like, they will be trying to have the good trades and just win the board. And whoever wins the board will win the game, because those are not the decks like Miracle Rogue when you just don't care about the board and just do your stuff, do the combo. You need to have those minions to be able to push with damage and finish the game. Like even Shaman with cards like Lightning Storm is not able to just burst his opponent. He needs those Feral Spirits, he needs those Fire Elementals. And oh, Rockbiter is actually a pretty nice catch because he will be able to kill his Nerubian Egg and kind of like clear the Harvest Golem here. But do you use it here at this moment?
You know, it's a little bit of a tough call because you're going straight into 3 damage again. With the damage golem, and this is the power of Harvest Golem. He soaks up a Rockbiter, and it might be able to play into a way to remove this Nerubian Egg. But that's assuming Reynad doesn't have a play, and he does. He has the Violet Teacher to drop, and he's just going to continue to push. And this might give Reynad an opportunity to strike back, Savjz an opportunity to strike back, depends on when he draws.
But it seems like ideal Lothep turn, actually. I feel like from our perspective, when we see the Power of the Wild in your opponent's hand, you want to drop that Lothep to stop it. But being Savjz, do you expect Power of the Wild right now? Or do you expect something else in turn 5?
Basically, maybe it's not necessarily expect, but it's also prevent your opponent from being able to blow you out. You might feel tempted to use Rockbiter and Hex anyways, though. It accomplishes almost the same exact thing. But I think I liked the Lotheb a little bit better because it develops your board. It gives you the ability to respond. You don't want to just get completely destroyed once again by something like Swipe. And I think Lotheb accomplishes a lot of the same goals that you do using Hex and Rockbiter here.
Yeah, you build up your board, you kind of seal your opponent from casting spells next turn, and then you will have a follow-up with Fire Elemental, and then another Fire Elemental and Rockbiter.
Aha, Lotheb draw for Reynad, so why not shut down his opponent's turn? But it is coming up on turn 6, which usually means that there's going to be some kind of powerful minion coming out of some regards. Okay, so Savjz draws his Doomhammer. That's also an important card to pick up.
Yeah, but right this moment, Savjz is winning the board. this is the board that Savjz controls. He has a 6-5 as opposed to a 1-1 on the opponent's board. He dropped like 5 health only, and this is turn 7, so he should feel safe. At the current, again, a very strong draw from Reynad that fits the curve perfectly and develops the board on his side. But on the other hand, there is a Hex.
Yep, and that plays straight into the Shaman's hands because they use really efficient removal like Hex, like Urshock, like Rockbiter, and they continue to develop the board. Unfortunately for Savjz, it doesn't really have something directly to push something like Haunted Creeper or any of these other smaller minions that we see, like an Unbound. And as a result, probably will have to totem up, but still not bad at all. That's just one of the best targets you can ask for with Hex.
It's kind of painful for Savjz, I believe.
I think so. I mean, at the same time, you can't really be unhappy because you're removing one of the best premium minions for your opponent. And I think, you know, the most important thing as you kind of develop more of these things over the course of turns is he has things like Rockbiter and Doomhammer. So he has a way to kind of race the Druid at some point if he needs to, or use it as flexibility spots for removal. So I think Savjz is still sitting in a pretty good position. All he has to do is kind of pair it together with some other good draws and solid minions and be able to answer the board. But then Reynad has cards like Ancient of Lore that can also rebound him if a situation gets too tight and he's expending too much to try to control the board. If he loses everything, he still has a reload.
Yeah, definitely. It's like for now, it looks good for Savjz with the removal cards and the follow-up.
All right, so he does go for the Hex play and passes it over. Reynad does have the Ancient of Lore play, which feels like a natural progression, right? Because you draw the cards, you're able to put you're putting a 5/5 on the board. See what he picks up with the draws. And you know what? He picks up some decent cards too. Double Power of the Wild with the Violet Teacher. So maybe he can bait out some removal in AoE like Lightning Storm and then just go for Power of the Wild's back in and control the board. Pick up the combo perhaps and end the game. But still, it seems many turns off for Reynad if he wants to secure this win.
Well, Savjz right now is pretty comfy on 24 points of health. So he just cheerfully continues the battle for board presence. And he's winning that battle. He has double Fire Elemental and a Totem, and he still has a follow-up in Hex. So I would say like Reynad is in a really tricky position here. Savjz should feel safe on like 90 points of health.
Yeah, he needs something to kind of address his board, but he picks up the Keeper of the Grove. Not exactly the best answer. He might have to spend some turn taking damage and develop. All these things kind of build off the synergy off each other. Things like Haunted Creeper, Violet Teacher, Power of the Wild. And the Keeper of the Grove is there to kind of continue to answer the board while putting something on.
Also, it seems important that Reynad still doesn't have the Force of Nature. So he has Savjz, and he will be able to develop the board this turn. But well, without Force of Nature, he doesn't have that final kick to get the 14 points of damage out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, like how is he able to kind of press through even if he does have the board? And by the way, there's still a lot of damage coming out from Savjz, right? He has 6 on board. Oh wow, he picks up Flame Tongue Totem.
How much is it? This is 14 plus 4, 18. It's really close. It's getting
18
really close.
damage from a Shaman. You don't really expect that, but it's here. I think you can use the Flame Tongue Totem to trade immediately and use Doomhammer to clean up. But still, I think Savjz has good tools. He is running low on cards, though. Things like Mana Tide Totem might end up becoming very valuable if he picks that up as well.
Well, he definitely hacks the Violet Teacher, and then you can use either... yeah, I'm not sure about it. You kind of... That's Taunt Totem being a 0-1 is actually pretty important.
Yeah, I think so, especially as the more he continues to use Doomhammer to trade health. You don't want to be put in a position where your opponent can just combo you, and that 1 health just absorbs most likely the hero power, which is the 2 damage off the combo.
How do you like this play, by the way? He puts his opponent exactly 18 health, and he has 18 points of damage potentially in here. So if Reynad doesn't recognize, like if Reynad doesn't respect those fire elementals and the potential damage that Shaman can do in here, and just play minions, Well, I guess like he has to clear anyway, so there is no way that Reynad isn't just playing minions and passing the turn.
I think so. I think the Keeper of the Grove is too good to pass up to kill off one of the Fire Elementals. And then the Druid of the Claw should be coming out in taunt because you've seen 2 hexes. You're not as afraid of removal. The Defender of Argus does allow Savjz to continue to build the board, though. And if you roll something like the Healing Totem, he gets it. So that way he's going to be able to have a more resilient board after he uses the Fire Elemental to trade.
Yeah, this is huge for Savjz because now with Defender of Argus, he will definitely feel safe and won't be afraid of the combo. Like, Reynad has 3 cards in hand. If you assume there is a combo, and do you even clear the board in here being Savjz? Like, or do you just play Defender of Argus and pass? I mean, attack.
There's no clean way to do it. Yeah, I think you clear it with your weapon, and I think you just push. You're at 13 health, but you're still able to have 2 taunts that your opponent has to push through and spend their resource to do it. It's very tricky still if Reynad's going to win from here.
So important because now Fire Elemental won't be killed by swipe easily.
Needs a spell power something. The Black Knight is drawn for Reynad, so he can take out one of these minions, but keep in mind that the Flame Tongue Totem's still doing lots of work, and there is 9, 10, 14, 18 damage still for Savjz the following turn.
Well, I believe that Reynad has to kill the Taunt Totem, which is a 3/3 with Black Knight, and then swipe the 6/2. Because then he's like ensuring that Flame Tongue Totem is buffing only 1 minion, and he's looking at potential 9 points of damage coming from Savjz. But you will have a 4/5.
What to do?
Yeah, I guess it's the best move to develop the board. Like, just I don't see Savjz in here, and playing Haunted Creeper without anything else is just not enough. So you have to deal with this board and also build up your board. And like Black Knight and Swipe is just it. Like it's everything you need. Obviously, you're still behind, but as long as you're able to deal with the taunts, you still have that potential of drawing into Force of Nature and winning. Because Savjz is exactly at 13 points of health. Like, it's not 14, but it's like in a combo range. So if you're able to deal with the taunts... I don't like killing the Healing Totem here.
It's the same exact thing as the Taunt Totem, though, isn't it?
No, because the Taunt Totem is still buffed by Flame Tongue.
Yeah, but I think the idea is you don't want it to continue to heal. And you need ways to kind of push through. Because... now all of a sudden you have the hero power off the 2 damage. Assuming he didn't have Feral Spirits, if he had combo, he still can kind of push through, Danny. Well, now he's taking a little bit extra damage, and Reynad is at 10 health, so it might not even matter either way, kind of inconsequential. So Reynad tried playing a little bit into his outs, but it seems like he might be on the last ropes of his turn. He draws Keeper of the Grove, so he can reduce some of this damage. Let's see, there's still 9 though from Savjz.
By the way, the Feral Spirit draw was pretty sick. Like,
yeah,
especially
that
this situation.
That was a huge draw. Savjz needs 1 point of damage.
This is
or 2 points, excuse me.
Yeah, actually 2 points of damage. And it's exactly
there it's good. He's got him covered with Alakir, just enough mana, and that top deck will end the game. So Reynad drops 0-1 and concedes before Savjz is able to deal the lethal blow.
That was a fast concede.
That was like insta concede as soon as you saw that he had anything to play on that turn.
So you concede when Alakir is dropped, but then you don't have the priority to lose the game, and then Savjz is like attacking once, then passing priority, and then Reynad concedes in response.
Yeah. Reynad has a good internet connection to
right.
make sure that he gets the immediate concede as fast as he can. That's for sure.
But really well played by Reynad as well. The game, I felt like the game is really close.
Yeah, I thought so. And, you know, he still had a chance. Assuming that Feral Spirits wasn't drawn, I think he still had a chance to maybe win from that position. It's a little hard to tell because, you know, the Feral Spirits did make all the difference. But at the same time, I think we've seen that Reynad does end up thinking about what is his best chances to win. He takes his time, sometimes for better or for worse, to think through some of these plays. But that's the past, and now we're going into game number 2. Reynad will turn to his Miracle Rogue with his lone non-golden card. Gnomish Inventor is trolling the rest of this deck by not being golden.
He is a casual player. Like, he should actually definitely level. What is it, like Druid? How do you get this Gnomish Inventor?
I don't know. You might have to level like an obscure class like priest or something to get Gnomish Inventor golden
Oh
one.
man, that would be tough. So what do you think about this matchup? Like I like being Miracle Rogue versus Shaman actually.
Yeah, you have a lot of targets. I don't think you have a lot of targets for things like backstab and SI7. You don't really have this two blade flurries that he was playing earlier in the previous Cooler Master Show match. He had those double blade flurries, which can be really good because AoE is very powerful against Shaman. But generally speaking, Shaman it can race against Miracle Rogue if you have things like Doomhammer. But generally speaking, you are pretty passive and trying to play keep away from the Rogue, which exactly what they want most of the time.
I'm really curious like how Nerubinex actually changes this matchup because before Miracle Rogue was favored because he had like the board clears and stuff. And right now, if you have Nerubinek, it's not really easy to clear if you get a 4/4 back, right?
Yeah, and then Ruby Egg is just pretty effective too against that AoE, so it might be his way to pressure early on. But you know what? Reynad's on the coin. He has Gadgetzan, and he's got some of the good cards to kind of back it up and continue the draws early on with Fan of Knives. So seems like
there is double Nerubinek from Savjz. So this might turn pretty ugly if Savjz is a way to actually like enable those eggs or follow up with like something that the Reynads really want to clear as a board clear. Also,
he has Defender of Argus, so he's going to force Reynad to do something about it.
Also, playing egg on turn 2 is kind of like anti-Fun of Knives, I guess, kind of. Do you really want to Fun of Knives on turn 3 if you have Nerubian Egg staring you?
Sure.
Well, right now he hasn't turn 2, so you probably just weapon and do you even attack with a weapon? This is also this is always a tricky thing. Like turn 2 weapon. If you have this kind of hand that's not really defined, like there is no deadly poison, do you attack? I guess you have to look at your turn 4 because on turn 3 you will play Farseer, but on turn 4 if you don't have a good follow-up, you can actually refresh the weapon. So maybe attacking with it was made sense. I don't know.
Well, now he has to kind of adapt to the Feral Spirits where he might or might not attack. He has the opportunity to use Backstab with Spell Power, but Farseer also challenges these 2/3s. So Farseer does tend to make more sense. Ideally, you would like a Deadly Poison so that way you can be able to take this out very efficiently. But Reynad is going to just try his best to answer the board immediately with the Farseer.
Yeah, but look at this board. It's exactly what we were talking about. It's like, because he was able to play Feral Spirit, normally being handlocked, you just, well, Deadly Poison and try to clear it. But now with the Nerubian Eggs, it's like, damn, I can't really clear it effectively with a AoE. Like I have to single target clear the wolves and be wary about those O2 tokens.
Well, it works out okay because he has double Backstab with Spell Power, so he has a way to efficiently remove it. Well, I guess in terms of without taking damage whatsoever. Keep in mind, Savjz does have Doomhammer, and that is a really important card if you want to raise something like Miracle Rogue. Especially if you take care of a Farseer early on, then you're able to just push out lots of damage. I have to imagine that he's going to prioritize activating his eggs, but soon thereafter, things like Doomhammer and a Rock Bar that he picks up later can just end the game in a few turns.
Would you, you know what would be actually pretty sick? Like coining Gadgetzan in here, backstab into a wolf, backstab into second wolf, top deck preparation, and then preparation Fun of Knives.
And then phase 2 4/4s.
Not really, because you will deal only
he doesn't have the spell power. I was looking at the Thalnos, and you would have.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. That's still a little bit risky. I don't know if I have the balls to do that, but maybe Reynad would if he kind of really evaluated the situation. I like his play a lot better, just clearing, using some of his tools, not overextending, keeping one backstab as a utility, and also draws for the Gadgetzan. It makes sense.
Yeah, definitely that was a more solid play. And you have to make an assumption that there is nothing to buff the tokens, because if there is, you're probably in trouble.
Well, now the Defender of Argus drops, and Savjz will have 4/4. He silences this Thalnos to prevent the draw. And now this board is looking very intimidating to deal with. But luckily for Reynad, he does have good tools at his disposal with the Gadgetzan, but he doesn't have exactly what it needs. He needs a couple of preparations to make some magic happen.
I find it interesting that Savjz is actually playing Doomhammer and Alakir both in one deck. Like a lot of players actually cut the Doomhammer in favor of like Haunted Creepers and stuff, but with Doomhammer, Savjz has a lot more potential with regards to explosion. Like, well, Rockbiter, Doomhammer is coming into play a lot earlier than other cards. Also, Doomhammer is pretty good to clear the board from the small things, like attacking two targets, dealing 2 damage. It worked pretty well last game. And a Fire Elemental.
That top deck. So Savjz gets the exact response to load the board. And I didn't know Nerubian costs 3 mana, and it's also considered a rare card. That's interesting. Today I learned.
This is something interesting that we learned.
Yeah. You don't really get to see Nerubian sapped that often or returned to the hand.
You could actually assume that it's a 0-cost creature, right? Because it's it appears from a 0-cost egg, kind of. It's just a token. But then again, I guess it's fair and it's balanced, because it's a very tough creature, a 4/4.
Speaking of 4/4s, the Gadget Stand is out, and the coin train the draw train has started with the coin. He has backstab, he has shiv, he draws preparation, so this is very much alive for Reynad to stabilize and see what he continues to chain off of this Gadget Stand play. All right,
do you sap the 6/5?
If you draw into Eviscerate, I don't think so. Let's see, he gets Deadly Poison.
You see, Fire Elemental is so annoying because it's a big body creature and you have to sap it, but then it comes back and deals 3 damage again. And you really want to keep the sap. Like, I would definitely prefer to sap a 1/2, but he can't. He has to deal with a 6/5, 6/4 at this point, and the 1/2 is still staring at him. Another
Second Fire Elemental, and by the way, this Fire Elemental will destroy the Guided Stand and put out a 4/4. Savjz's plays have been pretty straightforward. Just continue to pressure the Miracle Rogue player. And what can Reynad do? He draws his second preparation, which I think he would have loved to have if it was just one other card, but who knows? Maybe he would have drawn the Deadly Poison and it would have been almost the same exact effect. Maybe he could have drawn more cards with Shiv.
Okay, so being Reynad here, I feel like I drop Assassin's Blade, double Deadly Poison, and just go for it. It's like 7 points of damage outright, and then you try to draw into Flurry next turn. Because if you
also have Leroy stuff, so if you have Flurry, let's see how much damage can you do with that. That's so he's got 7 here. He's gonna put him at 22. He can do 14 with the Blade Flurry combination next turn.
With the Blade Flurry, it's lethal. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But now without Blade Flurry, it's like 12, 19, and a Shiv, so it's 20 points of damage. If he gets an Eviscerate, maybe that will be deadly. Because he's like 2 damage off lethal. If Savjz doesn't play a taunt, and Savjz doesn't have a taunt, he can hex his own minion if he sees it. And seeing this kind of an aggressive play, I would definitely assume like, hey, like being Savjz here, I would think Reynad just ran out of stuff and he's going all in. So what can I do? I probably need a taunt. So I'll try to get a taunt from the totem, and if I don't get a taunt, I'll probably hex my own minion.
Nope. He's going for it. He's going for maximum damage. The Doom Hammer with no Rock Biter. Maybe if he draws into it, he's going to do something. Reynad needs to draw
so many outs.
Flurry now. Well, he's going to Preparation Fan of Knives, and that still keeps the dream alive.
It's Preparation Shiv. It actually might be Preparation Shiv. I would definitely, I think, Shiv face first.
Oh, you're right. You're right. But he's going for Fan of Knives. I think you're absolutely correct. He should have gone for the Shiv to the face, but I think the result was about the same because he gets Van Cleef. No way to kind of stack that damage on top of the Leroy. Need a second Shadow Step. Needed something. Blade Flurry, Eviscerate.
He needs that Blade Flurry badly.
Yep. Still can draw it with the Shiv.
The thing is, like, he's dead anyways, because Savjz has exactly 7 damage on board, even if the board is cleared. 4 damage from Doomhammer and Fire
Elemental. Yeah, plus the Doomhammer, unless he had something surprising, like a Taunt Giver.
He gets
but I don't think that's going to be the case.
1 card too late. That Eviscerate. If the order will be changed, if it will be Eviscerate instead of Edwin, he would have exactly... Actually, he will have like 2 damage overkill. But right now, he's just dead. It's like 6. He can deal 12, 19 damage. He's just 2 points of damage off.
That is quite unfortunate, and I think Reynad realizes that if he spends all of his Leroy plus Eviscerate removal, still kills him because he leaves whelps, and the whelps get buffed by the Flame Tongue Totem, which means it's still 7 damage anyways, or 8 damage even. So there's no way for Reynad to even potentially think that he can live past a turn. He's going to concede, and Savjz jumps up to a 2-0 lead.
Congrats to Savjz. I mean, going for face was a gamble, but it paid off. Like, Reynad wasn't able to deal enough damage. On the other hand, I feel like Reynad was unlucky with that Edwin and a Fun of Knives. Like, he had 2 chances to actually draw into a card that will help him, and he has a lot of outs in his deck. Like, a second shift wouldn't help him, but a Flurry, Eviscerate, what? I don't actually remember how many. Shadow Step, yeah, Shadow Step as well. So there was a lot of outs that actually would win him the game. So right now he's down with his Warlock deck, which is a Handlock.
Good mix-up, by the way, from Reynad, because he's been playing Zoo in a lot of his high-profile matches, and now he's bringing Handlock to show some diversity and also throw off his opponent. Some interesting choices. He has only 1 Shadow Flame of selection, and he's opted to use his flex spots for 2 Sunwalkers, which was a card that, yeah, even Nips, you were the one putting Sunwalkers, one of the first players that I saw at least, into your Handlock deck. And it performs pretty well still, even though we have cards like Sludge Belcher coming in and people feel like that's the superstar now of the mid-game. People forget that the replacing Siphon Soul with Sunwalker is still very good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if taunts are good in Handlock, why not have a lot of them? Sunwalker is pretty good before, and now with the Sludge Belcher, if you're able to follow up, play Sludge Belcher, turn 4 you want to play Mountain Giant or Twilight Drake. Then turn 5, instead of doing some weird shenanigans, drawing cards, taunting stuff, you just play Sludge Belcher, which is a very solid card. And then on turn 6, you play a Sunwalker. So your opponent's he dealt with your turn 4 creature. He may be dealt even with a Belcher, and now he has to face Sunwalker. He's definitely out of removal at that point.
Unfortunately, a class that usually doesn't run out of good removal spells, at least if you compare it together against Handlock, is Shaman. So this is looking pretty bad. Reynad might be on the ropes and facing elimination potential in his second series here at the VGVN, but he does have a pretty good start. Double Mountain Giants is a good way to start off this game.
Yeah, definitely double Mountain Giant is a pretty nice start. Even if there is 1 Hex, you can safely play a second Giant. Then he has the Sludge Belcher. So right now it looks pretty good for Reynad. The thing is also Savjz doesn't have a way to activate the Nerubian Egg at this moment, so...
He has the Rock Biter, so that is a way he can kind of activate the damage. But at the same time, Savjz does look like he has good minions, but removal like Lightning Storm is not what you're looking for early game against Handlock. Interesting to opt to go for the Manatide Totem, just again force out removal. And he doesn't discard the Mountain Giant, he just discards one of his Farseers instead. But that will deny the Mountain Giant being played next turn.
It was a pretty good play from Reynad. You definitely have to deny the draw.
What a top deck from Savjz!
Oh my god, what just happened?
Insta hex at that point because you realize there's no other target that you want to put that thing on.
I started to believe that Reynad is really an unlucky player here.
Yeah, it seems like he's starting to get stopped at every single... basically, whenever he's getting momentum, it feels like it gets halted almost immediately. And now Savjz will start building up his own board. He has his own Azure Drake. Now he can drop another Mountain Giant. But now Reynad's starting to evaluate a little bit more about what's going on the board.
Yeah, also the thing is even if you drop the Mountain Giant, you can't deal with the Drake. And a Drake will be pretty annoying with all the spells that the Shaman has. Savjz can even play double Lightning Storm if he really wants to. With spell damage.
His alternative is pretty poor though, if you're Reynad. You don't really... If you tap... or it really doesn't do anything else. You're not gonna play something really weak like a Farseer. There's nothing, and you can Ironbeak Owl the egg. I think the Giant here makes the most sense.
No, definitely the Giant was a good play. Definitely Giant was a correct play. the thing is like he's really getting into a trap, right? Because Savjz has double Lightning Storm, Rockbiter, Coin. Like Savjz has so many options in here. He can even Airshock the 3/5 and then like Lightning Storm and maybe try to kill the Giant with the. Well, he won't be able to deal 5 damage, but he also has a Rockbiter. Like there are so many good combinations in here.
It's all about piecing what you want together. He uses Unbound to kind of buff it up and see what he can do to weaken the board at least. And that way, when you weaken the Giant, it at least makes faceless plays also pretty bad. Coin into Earthshock as well and control the board in that department. So it seems like Savjz is starting to seize it back, and this is trouble time for Handlock unless they're able to control what Shaman's doing.
So far, it seems pretty nice because you'll be able to deal with the Drake, but you don't have many good cards that you can actually play. Even like Hellfire, it's like this Nerubian Egg is so annoying, but you can kind of like silence the egg. Do you want to Hellfire this turn? Probably not. Like this Giant seems so useless now. It's like you have this big creature, 8/5, which is normally a pretty good creature, right? But you're facing the small dudes on the board. Maybe not even that small because they're 4/4 and a 3/5. So Reynad is in a really weird position here.
Yeah, everything's really awkward. Doesn't even have something clean like Shadow Flame in the following turns either. He
Definitely
picks up an Ancient Watcher, so he could set up some taunts and try to make his opponent's life difficult.
I guess you will have to kill like the 3/5. Attack into 3/5, then Farseer. And Soulfire the Drake.
I think so. This is what you gotta do. Discards the Owl, but
It's
I think
fine, I guess.
that's the best option.
Yeah, that was the best option because like discarding a Taunt or Leroy or even Hellfire would be so bad.
Ooh, Reynad having to make a really difficult choice of killing the Unbound instead of going for face, but I think that's for the best considering we know what's in Savjz's hand to continue to puff that Unbound up with things like Feral Spirits and Lightning Storm.
Now healing the Mountain Giant really pays off for Reynad.
Oh, he gets a high roll on the Farseer, and then now with the trade, he's able to summon his own Nerubian Egg. So, Reynad, again, getting a little bit on the unlucky side here with the 50-50 coin flip, but he does have a Twilight Drake, and he did see an Earthshock being used earlier, so maybe he can start getting value off of this Drake because Savjz has dedicated a lot of removal towards what's been going on the board.
Yeah, also a pretty smart taunt here.
Oh, are
Oh
you
my
serious?
God.
I don't believe it.
He is the unluckiest player in this
Oh
tournament.
my God! You have to be this. This is a joke. I in a sense of like, how does he keep top decking the exact answer? Like,
Exactly when one of them was used.
Oh no!
And
This
again,
has
the
been
mental
awful.
shock. Think about the mental shock. You're really sitting there comfortably. You just had a good draw, and you see your opponent just getting the card on top, and just it's nerve shock. It's so devastating. What do you even do here?
Well, I mean, you just kind of have to rebound from it. It seems like Reynad's already shaking it off, but no doubt the head shakes are going and the smacking of the lips when you're this kind of tilted from just the constant responses off the top of the deck, and you see that it's being played from the right side of the hand, and you know that he top decked that. One of the most frustrating things to ever experience in this card game, at least.
Yeah, it's pretty tough for Reynad in here. And Savjz is just setting up a board, which is pretty good. He has double Feral Spirit. So even if he plays the first Feral Spirit and the board is cleared, then he has a second one as a follow-up. He has the Doomhammer. So, and Reynad only has 16 points of health right now.
Yeah, he could go for a board clear with something like Hellfire, Molten Giant to play afterwards, but you are flirting with very dangerous health levels.
The thing is, like Reynad, right now, Reynad has two parts of the combo. He has Leroy and he has Power Overwhelming. So if he's able to stall the game with no taunts and he gets the Faceless, it's enough if he gets his opponent to like 20 points of health, and then he will just win.
That is an excellent point. We've been forgetting what the Warlock or the Handlock can do in these late game scenarios and burst their opponent down. And not to mention, if he's playing patient and he can kind of make a read that Savjz has other ways to reload the board, things like Hellfire, or the damage that he does with Hellfire and Shadow Flame to clear the board can be his ticket to potentially swing this game, assuming Savjz doesn't draw into the damage to lethal him in the following turns.
The biggest problem that Reynad is facing right now is that he has no taunt givers. He has a lot of cool cards he can play, but he has nothing to protect himself from potential 12 damage from Doomhammer.
Well, when you have things like the Feral Spirits coming out, you feel like that removal is going to be coming out your way. But, that's going to make Reynad feel a little bit more confident. I love the restraint that Savjz shows by not playing his second Feral Spirits because he realizes the AoE is about the same effect anyways.
Ancient Watcher is actually pretty nice in here because he can use Ancient Watcher plus Shadow Flame to clear the board, then attack into a Nerubian. But that any 3 points of damage will just win the game. A simple Fire Elemental top deck is just sealing this.
Oh, do you realize that Reynad's 1 mana off lethal? Because if he had the Ancient Watcher Shadow Flame and then Leroy with Power Overwhelming, that's 18 damage.
Yeah.
That is crazy how close it's become at this point, because Reynad has the tools, but he doesn't necessarily have everything in sequence to be able to push this out. Let's find out what he's going to do, because he does have a few things he could do. He could go for a board clear, but it summons the Nerubian Egg. I think he's going to go for the safe play, Siphon Soul up. Hopefully his opponent doesn't draw into a Rock Biter, because that ends the game right here.
And what will we see?
It's a Loteb, which also could be really important to stall the game out.
It is very important. It is for sure very important because it will kind of lock out the Power Overwhelming and Shadow Flame. So right now...
Okay, Feral Spirits being played to reload the board.
Wait, Lightning Bolt seals it. Lightning Bolt wins the game right here.
No. Oh, but he can't. Oh, he can't use Shadow Flame and Leroy Power Overwhelming. If he still had that flexibility, that was it.
He has to clear the board with Shadow Flame and attack into Nerubian, and then Savjz is just dealing 4 points of damage with Doomhammer and finishes off with Lightning Bolt. Like, Reynad has to make an assumption that there is no follow-up because he has to clear the board anyway, so
is the way for him to survive then is to get something like a Taunt Giver? I don't know. I don't know. It's not very clear. There isn't a way for Reynad, at least on paper. He's going to go for a decision to try and survive, but it's clear that Savjz has the lethal to finish the game, and he even picks up a little bit extra with Fire Elemental and the Lightning Bolt. Game number 3 goes to Savjz, and Reynad drops to 0-2, which means he is very likely to be eliminated from the VGVN as the first player to fall.
Slight BM from Savjz with Fire Elemental into a Twilight Drake. Oh man, this was a tough match for Reynad. Like, I really felt for Reynad here with those top decks from Savjz and Hex, double. Well, did he actually get like 3 cards exactly when he needed them?
He got the Hex against the Giant when he needed it. He got the Earthshock against the Twilight Drake. I can't really say if there's any other situation where that was the precise card that he wanted and he didn't have it already. But that said, I think Savjz would be a fool not to capitalize on that kind of golden opportunity. Not to mention that that's exactly why Shaman is very powerful against Handlock for those very reasons. And it's a kind of unfortunate that Reynad was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or actually, maybe Savjz was just in the right place in the right time. Depends on how you look at it. And with that said, it seems like we've already had the dust settle for the first 2 series for each player. Forsen sits 1-1. Lucky's at 1-1 as well. Reynad looks like he's likely to be eliminated from this event at whole with a 0-2 score. And Savjz looks like he is in prime position to finish out this in a very strong score. I think it's almost inconsequential. It depends on whether or not Lucky is able to win, I think, and we might have a 3-way tie if Reynad loses against Lucky and Forsen beats Savjz. That might be the case. We might have.
We definitely have 2 more series. Next is Forsen versus Savjz, and then we'll have Lucky versus Reynad. So Reynad will still play at least 1 match. If he wins that match, if Lucky and Forsen lose,
No, yeah, there could be a third way tie
Yeah.
if Forsen beats Savjz and Lucky defeats Reynad. We'll find out what happens. I think we're about to go into a quick break. Make sure once again, guys, to check out the VGVN Enter to Win contest at the bottom of the screen. Check it out while we take a break and reset for Forsen versus Savjz.